All right, I've got 7 o'clock, Evan.
Ready to go?
Yep.
All set?
Let me know.
All right, we're good to go.
Good?
Good. Go for it.
Phone's still fading in and out a little bit. All right, it's Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. It's the meeting of the Mashpee Planning Board. I'm meeting remotely through a remote meeting as recommended by the governor and the town of Mashpee. It is being broadcast live on local channel 18. If someone wishes to call in, they can call in on the conference number at 508-539-1400, extension 8585. It's also being streamed live on the Mashpee Town website, which you can see. I'd like to take quick attendance. First off, Mary Wagon.
Here.
Dennis Balzerini.
Here.
Joe Callahan.
Here.
John Falone.
Here.
And Robert Hanson.
Here.
And John Phelan, I'm here. I would like to invite everyone to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag of the
United States
States of America.
to the republic
To the
And to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
nation,
one nation,
under
under God,
liberty,
indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. All right, we're going to approval of the minutes. Jenna reviews the minutes from the July 15th, 2020 meeting. I didn't have any questions. Did anyone else have any questions with regards to the minutes?
No.
Just,
Nope.
I wanted to confirm Rob was in attendance.
Yeah, it says Rob was in attendance, but he wasn't actually there, was he?
No. I don't think he's right here right now.
He's frozen on my screen. Yeah, I don't think he was there.
Yeah,
I do not. He was not there. My recollection.
right.
I was not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Confirmed.
So I'll make a motion to approve as amended with Rob being shown as not being present.
All right, Mary's made a motion.
Second.
And a second.
Second.
John Falone has seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Dennis.
Any opposed? Okay. Jen, did you copy that?
Yes, I'll make the change. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we do have a few minutes to the public hearing. Evan, do you think we should go through start the new business, or do you want to maybe go to the committee reports or something like that to kill a few minutes here?
You tell me.
Raleigh's bill we could pay.
Yep, Charlie's got a bill. I have very brief updates. You tell me where you'd like to go.
So let's go. Let's go ahead with the Charlie bill. So I have a July invoice from Charlie. It's for the total amount of $100. It's the attendance at 2 virtual meetings and then a inspection of the paving that was being done at Cape Cod Coffee over on Evergreen Circle. Has everyone seen that?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
I'd accept a
Make
motion.
a motion.
Yep, go ahead. Mary's going to make a motion to accept.
Yeah, make a motion to. Yep.
Dennis Balzerini seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. It passes. All right. The next item on that new business is the DPW Complete Streets Prioritization Plan. I looked at this and I was slightly confused. I did talk to Evan a little bit about it. Has anyone had the opportunity? I would invite anyone to speak right now to talk about it. I clicked on the link, and my challenge is I couldn't quite tell what some of the legends meant. I mean, the asterisks. I don't know if they were points so forth, because some of them really at any dangerous intersections. I'm guessing the lines on there had to do with those were sidewalked areas or areas where it'd be tough for a bike. Does anyone else have anything to add about that, or were they confused like I was as to what they were looking for?
I agree with you, Jack. I was a little not fully understanding with the symbols, but
Yeah, I didn't understand what they meant.
If I can make a suggestion, Jack.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I got this request from Catherine after we had posted initially the first agenda, and I wanted to make sure we included it on tonight's agenda because she's put a deadline of the 13th, which is obviously before the next board meeting. So we might want to have the board establish a deadline to review and submit comments relative to the request to me so that I can submit a memo on behalf of the board to include those written comments. And maybe tonight the board can have a brief discussion or deliberation about glaring transportation or traffic-related issues as they pertain to complete streets, if you're aware of any, and if not, just to review or give consideration to the request in the meantime and provide comment to me perhaps by the 12th. And then I can also write to Catherine tomorrow to see if I can get some clarity relative to that application that they've provided to see what it's really being used for.
Evan, it's John. It wasn't clear to me if those markings that were on the map were the only ones being considered, or were we being asked to consider other locations
Yeah.
in addition to the ones that were on the map?
Jack said the same thing, and I only glanced at it briefly. I don't think they're asking you to react to what's already on the map. I think those points are already identified areas of interest that have been brought forth by other stakeholders, either by the consultant, by the DPW, or otherwise. So I would urge you to consider not just the area, not to direct your attention to what's already marked, but to other areas that aren't appearing on that map.
Understood. Okay, that was
So-
not clear to me.
Go ahead, Mary.
I've got the map up, right? And it looks like there's some lines on there too. So it looks like it has a little pedestrian symbol, and then Route 28 is highlighted kind of down Quiniquisette and then around the Rotary.
I agree with you, Mary, because what it shows to me is the 28 section on the Hyannis side has no hydrant, yet the 28 section on the Falmouth side, not hydrant, has a sidewalk, and the Falmouth side has a sidewalk all the way to South Cape, and I wonder if that's what it's representing, an area where there is no sidewalk.
Would the board like me to obtain some clarity?
Do you want me to share the screen?
Sure, go ahead. Has everyone seen it? Because I have a copy right here as well.
Put it on the screen.
Yeah, go ahead and share
Let
it.
me try. Can you see it now?
It takes a second to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that they're asking about, see, I'm moving the cursor.
Yes.
I think it's that area, and then along 151, up this way.
Yeah, to highlight your point, Mary, the area on 151, where it starts there at Old Barnstable, that's where the sidewalk ends.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what it's about.
But the one
How
thing,
about-
I
how
know
about
that this is
rather
a
than guessing?
town-wide plan.
Evan, if you want to get some clarification, that may be helpful.
Yeah.
I think
Evan, I think that piece that's on 151 west of Old Barnstable is part of the DPW or Mass Highway reconstruction, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah.
I think now if members of the board aren't against this, I think if Evan can get some clarity and get us out some information just so we understand it, since we're not going to meet prior to then, would everyone be amicable to just providing comments if something comes up to Evan so that he can get it to the DPW director without having before our next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, Evan, if you could just get us something, maybe send us an email, and then we could all respond to it, and then at least you'd have something to give to her prior to that 13th date.
I'll have it to you tomorrow.
Okay. Everyone,
So I should, like,
go ahead, Mary.
stop driving the bus? I'll stop sharing.
I got lost.
That's a great map. Get on there. It's cool.
I did see there is like an about and a help icon on there. I don't know how helpful they are, but in the meantime, you could explore a little bit of what the legend and symbols mean by just clicking that.
Yeah, when you click on
It's
it,
like dots.
a box.
Does it give you much?
No, when you clicked on it, it just gives you a box of fill in the blank. So it would have been great if they had a note tied to it.
All right. So my intention is I'm gonna write to Catherine tomorrow, get clarity in writing about what they're specifically requesting the board provide, and the deadline again is the 13th. So do start reviewing, or at least giving some consideration to areas of interest in town relative to complete streets or pedestrian, bicycle, or vehicular traffic.
Sounds great.
Well, thank you.
Since it is 7:10, I'll go ahead and open up the continued hearing from the Southworth Mashpee Properties LLC. Pursuant to Mashpee General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the Mashpee Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 1st. Now, this is a continuation from that July 1st meeting in Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, to consider the application from Southworth Mashpee Properties LLC, property owner, to modify Willow Bend Country Club special permit. The applicant proposes to construct a 6-unit multifamily residential townhouse structure to be known as the Clubhouse Villas. It's a 40,009-square-foot parcel located north of Quiniquisette Avenue and found on the Assessors Map 69, Block 117. I will say, if the members of the board haven't seen this, I did receive a letter, or we have received a letter, the board has received a letter asking us to continue this to our September, was it second meeting?
September 2nd sounds right. The first meeting in September is the 2nd.
Yeah, so the September 2nd meeting. I take a motion on that, Evan?
Yes, please.
So
Okay.
continue the hearing to September 2nd?
At
No,
what time?
I just said the second meeting is September.
7:10. Is that right, Mary?
Yeah, so Dennis, are you, right now it's September 2nd at 7:10.
Okay, I make that motion.
Okay. I second.
Second.
All those in favor? We'll go by roll call just so we get official. Dennis?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And John Phelan, yes. Okay. Move on to the next item. We'll go back to new business. You got something to say, Mary?
Now, I think if they postpone again, they have to pay $50 more in fees.
Okay. Been postponed twice. Is it a 3-strike rule, Evan?
Yeah, I know.
Take a motion on that. If you want to institute the new rule.
Cool. All right, the last thing on new business is the discussion relative to in-person meeting protocols amid the COVID-19 public health emergency, anticipation of a likely return. This is something I put on the agenda. I'd like to try to have a live meeting on our next meeting. I invite everyone to come. Those who are still not quite comfortable yet, I absolutely will in the Zoom as the town has suggested for other boards. They've been meeting live in person. They have the opportunity to meet live in person for the last 3 weeks. And I'd like to see us if we could do this on our next meeting on August, what's the date?
19th.
August 19th.
Yeah, 19th. If that's okay with everyone. Just want to get everyone.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I asked some questions to Evan.
Yes.
It's
So you
good
want-
with me.
Do you want me to go over my
So-
replies?
Yeah. Evan, do you have those, or do you want me to read them?
If you can you refresh my memory on the questions, then I'll provide the answers I recall.
So just so everyone
Okay.
knows, Mary submitted a list of questions that she had concerns about the meeting, and I passed it on to Evan, and Evan answered all the questions for her. So Mary's going to go through it, just so you have the understanding where this is coming from.
Yeah,
Thank
so are planning board members required to wear masks?
While we're in a meeting in a room with a quorum, we will be sitting 6 feet apart with the appropriate distance, and everyone in the room will be required to wear a mask.
Does everybody have a mask?
I guess you don't have one.
Okay. All right. So will the public be allowed in the room?
The public will not be allowed in the room. We'll have to maintain participation as we have with Zoom and with the conference bridge and Mashpee TV and live stream. So just planning board
And can
members in the
members?
building.
Oh, go ahead.
It'll just be the board members and staff in the building if staff wishes to be present. And I'll be here.
Okay, and then can members still remote in via Zoom?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does anyone else have any questions relative to that?
Nope.
No, I just think it'd be great to get back, safely distanced back into the meeting room.
I'm going to have to order
Agreed.
John's nameplate. I haven't done that yet because I haven't been sure. So, John, I'm going to have to order you a nameplate. We'll get it done.
Thank you.
We'll
I
make
can
up
bring
some
mine
paper
from the
for you.
bank if you need me to.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. So we'll look forward to the 19th.
Great,
All right.
thank you.
We can move on to the next item. It's the town planner report. Evan?
I just want to quickly gloss over the subdivision and special permit rules and regs. I've just been reviewing the minutes from previous meetings. There was some discussion relative specifically to the mailbox question that I haven't firmly gone over and put anything into writing yet. So I have nothing new to report other than I anticipate having something firm for you at our next meeting. So I apologize for keeping this on the agenda without anything really new to report. So more to come. We'll make substantive progress on that in the next 2 weeks. A few other priority items took my attention over the past 2 weeks. I think I had 3 things on there, Jack. Will you remind me what's on there? I don't have the agenda in front of my face.
Update the subdivision rules and regulations and special permit
All
regulations.
right, so we have just addressed those. Same applies there.
Stormwater Task Force.
So Mary did provide to me some comments in writing, which I'm appreciative of. I know the selectmen are going to be approaching executing the warrant over the next month or so. I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to submit any edits and amendments that the board sees appropriate before then. I'm going to incorporate Mary's comments into my draft and submit back to you for consideration at our next meeting. My intention is to work with Charlie on the performance measures that are recommended within the bylaws but aren't really prescriptive. So I don't know what the language modifications will be there, but I'll try and provide some further clarity in the next draft that incorporates Mary's comments. So please, I'd like all written comments, if you can provide them to me before our next meeting so we can have a substantive workshop on those on the 19th so that there's ample time to provide those written comments to the selectmen.
Evan, you just dropped from the screen, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that. It's reconnecting. Are you all
right.
seeing each other still?
Yeah, we're all seeing each other, I
Yeah,
believe.
yes.
You froze.
Thank you.
You're halfway through your speech there, and
Did you hear me the whole time?
hear you fine.
Well, we lost a little bit, but yeah, we're here now.
So it's working on reconnecting. But does anyone have any questions for me on that item? Everyone's okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. And Jack, do you want me to wait till I get my screen back to move on?
You can if you want. We can just stand by a second.
Yeah, stand by 1 second. If it's hopeless, we'll move on. I don't want to have to exit the Zoom and then cut everyone off.
Yeah, no problem. If you can't get it back, if you want, we can start these board member committee reports. We'll get to the last item, and then we can join back in.
Why don't you do that?
All right. So we'll go through the board member committee reports. First is the Cape Cod Commission.
Okay, so at the last meeting, I let you know that there was a big public hearing in July. I think it was July 23rd. There was a petition, a citizen's petition with 300 signatures to modify the regional policy plan. So the Cape Cod Commission, what they did is they instructed staff to, they voted to refer the matter to a subcommittee. So staff is convening a subcommittee regarding the matter. And just as a reminder, it was a petition to insert some requirements to address climate change in the regional policy plan. So they have 180 days to work on those amendments and cure them in any way so that they can be effective and legal in the regional policy plan. And then they have 180 days to complete that work and bring it back to the Cape Cod Commission for further discussion. So that's my report, and then I have nothing else from the Cape Cod Commission.
All right, do you have anything from the Community Preservation Committee?
No, typically they issue a legal ad kind of early to mid-fall for applications to be considered by spring town meeting. So I haven't heard anything yet.
Design review.
The only thing that we had was dealing with the Willow Bend project we just spoke about. Design review pushed them along, and it'll be going to the ZBA, but that's all I got for design.
Okay. Plan review, that's still you, Joe?
I'm design.
Oh, who do plan review?
That's me. I have to try and recall. I don't think plan review had a meeting.
That's right, it was canceled. Environmental oversight?
I think that's me, and I apologize. I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to be doing.
Sound like me last
The
year.
new guy.
I'm not sure environmental oversight met, John.
They didn't meet?
I don't believe they've met. And actually,
Okay.
Jack, I have a question for you.
Sure.
these are appointments I think we need to notify the selectmen on, and I haven't written to the selectmen to notify them who was appointed to what committees. The former chair used to take that initiative, and I'm wondering, do you want me to write to the selectmen tomorrow to notify them who was appointed to what committees?
That would be great, thank you.
It'll be done.
So, Evan, when that happens, does the committee chair reach out, or should I reach out to that person?
Once they're notified, the committee chair should add you to their email list, and you'll start receiving those communications. It doesn't. You can always feel free to reach out to the chairman also.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would recommend that you reach out, John. It works well if they know they're there. Go ahead, Mary.
And Jack, just real quick, it appears that the town hall has lost internet, so I don't know if the Zoom is going to get back started.
No
It's been
problem.
bouncing on and off all day, so.
All right, well, let's run through the committee reports and then we'll go back. Mary, go ahead. Mary.
So, Evan, in the last packet you had my memo from last year. There's just one appointment that the chair makes. I think isn't that to design review?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then everything else goes to the Board of Selectmen, and I think the Board of Selectmen is supposed to vote on those appointments, but
Yeah, I believe you're right.
getting a memo to them is really good.
Thanks. Greenways Footbridge.
Okay, no meeting, basically. Last time we met, and Charlie Riley looked into a couple of questions I had with Catherine, and basically the plans for the 151 improvement, which would have put sidewalks on that side of the bridge side, let's say, of the road, would have basically alleviated the need for a bridge just maybe 50 yards away, and would negate anybody needing to cross the road to continue on the path. So I'm of the opinion that that footbridge probably should just go away and maybe taken off the agenda, but it's associated with the greenways, and I really haven't gotten into the greenways overall larger picture. So maybe once we get back to some more sense of normalcy, we'll go from there.
Very good.
Great. Historic District Commission.
No meeting.
And the Military Civilian Advisory Council. I met
Let me
with...
guess, no meeting.
Nope. I met with we had a combined meeting of the Civilian Advisory Committee as well as the Scientific Advisory Council. We had a great meeting last week, all members. There was probably 24 of us in the meeting via Zoom. And since it had been 9 months, basically they went over a lot of the things they would have approved that were upcoming for this summer, most of which has already happened. So they just want to kind of give everyone a heads up of what was going on as far as how they're managing the resources there, some of the events that were going on at the base for military training, as well as they actually hired a full-time fire management a person to handle, all their, I guess, land management decisions and provide input to the committee. It was a good meeting. It was the first meeting. It was a little chaotic because there was so many of us in the meeting, but it was nice to be involved with the meeting. Even though they didn't set another meeting date, they said it's going to be in a few months, so hopefully I get back to them. So it was finally be part of the group.
Great.
All right, so that's great. So we'll go back to the town planner report and the last item on the agenda for that. Evan?
So I was somewhat, I suppose, vague on the agenda because there is an announcement to be made by the consulting engineer, and I have a series of recommendations pursuant to his announcement. But before I get to those, I'd like to hand it off to Charlie to make his announcement.
Thank you, Evan. Mary, you know about this, and Dennis, you may have had an inkling, but
Yes, I did.
It's come to the point in my experience here working with the town of Mashpee that I think it's probably time to close that chapter on that part of my life. So I am just announcing to all of you that as of the last meeting in December, that will be my last regular meeting as your consultant. It's been as of the first meeting in December, it will have been 40 years that I've actually been doing this.
No way, 40 years.
Yeah, 40
Wow.
years.
Thank you for all your service. Wow. 40 years.
I started in December of 1980. I think Ronald Reagan was still president then. But anyway, I sat down with your chairman and with Evan a week or so ago, and I had put together some documentation which I felt might be helpful to all you folks going forward in picking a selection for who might possibly take my place. I tried to set it up so there would be a list of the qualifications which I felt were essential, a list of some of the criteria as an individual that I felt were important to impart to that individual so that they know how you operate, how to get along with other people, how to be effective, and then gave them also a little bit of information as to how to go forward with an RFP. And and I told Evan and Jack that I would be more than happy to work with them, with the balance of the board as well, to answer any questions you might have or come up with an RFP, even maybe sit in on some of the interviews if you decide you're going to go that route, however you like to handle it. But I want to convey to all of you, and to those who might be listening who are former members of the Mashpee Planning Board, it has been a total joy for me to be a part of your community, to participate in all the various activities that you're doing, and to have some small input into seeing the growth of the town. When I first started in 1980, I think the fire station was still across the street from the town hall. There wasn't any municipal maintenance or Department of Public Works building. I think Ernie at that time had his office in the top of an old
water tower.
Yeah, and when we first met at the town hall there, we were meeting in one of the back rooms on the second floor, and all the renovations hadn't been done. So you didn't have elementary schools, you didn't have a high school, you didn't have a new fire station, you didn't have a library. Mashpee Commons was about a third of the size. I think most of the condominium projects that you've got in town now weren't even in existence at that time. So there's been a lot of things that have taken place over 40 years, and from my perspective, you've done a great job. So with that, I'll just shut up, and if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I just want to say thank you, Charlie, very much for service.
I think, Charlie, on behalf of the board, I mean, I know it's premature. You're still going to be with us for a few more months, but I think all of us really appreciate and understand how invaluable of an asset you have been to this community, to this town, to the different committees, and I really do appreciate it. And your engineering skills are top-notch, so just thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Charlie, I'm going to miss you. I know you're going to still be here till December, but you were a great part of the town of Mashpee, and you helped it grow smartly, and I appreciate it.
Well, it's a no small thing because of you either, Dennis. I mean, you've had a tremendous part in it. You've been along on the planning board almost as long as I have, I think.
Yeah.
You're the oldest surviving member, as they say. But no, with everybody that's on the board and all the people that I've worked with, I've tried to make a sort of a mental list of all of the various people that I've run across during that time, and the list is just too long to actually remember. Off the top of my head, I can remember 3 out of the 5 first members. I know it was Earl Masters, it was Don Blakeman, Rich Jonas, and whoever was your building inspector, and his name escapes me now. And then there was one other one, and I don't remember who that 5th member was. But it's quite a list. Quite a list.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Mary, you still on?
she's on mute.
Can't hear you, Mary.
Yes, sorry.
Well, Jack,
All right.
if I may, I'd like to thank you also, Charlie. I took this job after Tom Fadala, who was a planner for 30 years in this town, and I had a lot to learn at the beginning, and I was appreciative for all of the help you gave to me in my first couple of years. You're a massive asset to me, both personally and professionally, and certainly the board. So thank you for bridging the gap for me between the board and between project proponents and everyone else. Your knowledge was appreciated.
I appreciate those fine comments, Evan. I do. It's been a pleasure working with you as well.
So with that, I think. Go ahead, Mary.
No, I just, the other thing that I always just admired you so much for is mentoring all the young engineers that had to come before the board. And, you know, it was never confrontational. It was always, you always got them to the place they needed to be. And there was always this point where they would go, oh, like, Charlie does know what he's doing. So it was great. And they, you know, the engineers that have been before you several times,
Yep.
they're better engineers because of it. So
Well,
thank you.
I hope so. But, you know, my whole philosophy along the way has been people want to get something done. And the board wants to get through a process, and so do they. So to encourage that and try to move it along, I guess that was my job to do, and tried to do it for you. So, like, again, it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate it.
So, you know, based on everyone's comments, I think everyone understands how important it is that we find a successor who at least has half of the skills that Charlie has brought forth to the board. Both as a
Definitely. I
problem
think it'd be a
solver
good
and a
idea
professional. So
having Charlie kind of help us pick the right person.
I've given this a little bit of thought, and I've shared my thoughts with Charlie and Jack when we sat down to discuss it. And I didn't provide you with Charlie's written, essentially, job description and write-up before this meeting because I didn't want to give away his announcement prematurely. So I'm going to send that to you immediately tomorrow morning. At our next meeting, I'd like to request that the board, if they have any amendments or comments that they'd like to put forth in that description, let me know, and we can make the appropriate changes, but to take a vote to adopt that description. To include in what will likely be an RFP process. I think it would be prudent for the review, just like any other municipal position, to establish a couple members of the board, the chair and a designee, 2 members of the board, staff, so it would be myself, Mashpee Human Resources and the Town Manager's Office, do a first initial review of respondents to the RFP to field the first few applicants, and then narrow it down to 1 or 2 finalists to bring forth to the board for interview, for a more comprehensive interview process.
Excellent.
To the whole board. That's my recommendation. If there are any glaring issues with that, please let me know. But I think that's a smart way to proceed. And of course, I think Charlie can be involved in that initial run-through of applicants. So that's my recommendation for now. If you want to mull it over the next week, is review Charlie's job description that he provided. You can let us know, and then my request to you will be to formalize that process with a vote at our next meeting.
That sounds. And just to echo what Evan said, I think it'd be good to have a smaller working group, myself, Evan, and another member of the board. We can do that initial review with HR and the town manager's office and with the assistance of Charlie. I think we can narrow the field down so the whole board can sit down, review, and actually interview the candidates if that's the way the board wants to go. So with that being said, and the fact that we'll get this document that Charlie created out to everyone tomorrow, I think if we're going to have members of the board think about it, I'd like to see if anyone is interested in being on the committee. I'll select someone in the next meeting so we can move forward. I mean, I know it's December, but I think December's going to come back on us real quick, so we need to move forward as fast as we can to get that RFP out and proceed accordingly. If that sounds good.
Yep, Jack, I'd be happy to help with that selection process if that.
Appreciate it. All right, so we'll get that letter from Evan tomorrow, or that document that Charlie created, which I thought was quite in depth and written. And I think you all enjoy it. And any notes, make sure you get it to Evan, and we can review it and and put it all together and vote it on our next meeting, if that works for everyone.
Absolutely.
The last item here is do you have anything else, Charlie?
No, I did have a question. Was there anything, Evan, on that long waterways application that had a long stairway that was going down to the pond? I think it was a Shumat. Was it a Shumat pond?
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, that came to us as part of the package of material, and I didn't know if there was something special about that. Typically, you don't handle those things. It's up to the Conservation Commission, then it goes to the Division of Waterways.
Yeah.
But you do, as a planning board, have the authority through Chapter 91 to make any comments or even hold a public hearing on it if you so chose. But in my experience, I don't think you've ever done that. You've sort of left it up to other people to take care of.
Yeah, conservation.
All right, we do have some correspondence that everyone received in their packet. I don't think we need to go through it. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the committee? Good of the board?
No. You're not.
All right, seeing that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So be.
Take that motion to adjourn. So moved. I'll second the motion then. How about that?
There we go. Dennis made the motion to adjourn. Joe Kellyan seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Everyone be safe and have a good 2 weeks, okay?
Okay. See you
Good
later.
night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Good night, all.
Thanks.
Bye, Charlie.